Hello everyone, it's Dove again. So I am back out here in my Suboverland. I thought I'd give you an update on what's going on here in my rig. And basically I've been doing a lot of polyurethaning. And I had already done all the facing, or the sides of it, whatever, you know. I had done all that and everything. But then when my ex and I were cutting the wood, we were basically cutting it and using it right away, and so that left all of these edges were raw, not sanded. Well, they were kind of sanded, but there was no polyurethane on them. And I mean all of this, all of these big pieces, every single one of them had a raw cut edge that was kind of just sanded, but I still had to go through and sand it down even more. And then I used my tack cloth and got all the sawdust up. And then I had to use this little craft brush. I bought a package of them. There are like 20 of them in here. Thank goodness, because they're kind of cheap, and they, you know, I was kind of lazy and I wasn't properly cleaning them out in between each use. But it's okay because it was only like $5 for all of these, and I don't have anything else to use them on. But I was using this 3X polyurethane triple thick, and it is really thick. It's like paint, the consistency of paint, and it actually looks like white paint, but then it dries clear. And this is what I had to use because of all these vertical edges. I would not have wanted to use that really thin normal polyurethane because that would have been horribly messy. As it was, I felt like I was making a painting. It was really kind of interesting. It took forever because there were so many edges, and I had to, I mean, if you can imagine, I had to dip it, and then I would do it like that, and I'd flip it over and do it like that, and then I'd have to smooth it out, and then some would get on the edges, so I'd have to clean that up, and all the way along, and I'd have to re-dip it, and it took nearly an hour just to do one coat on the edges on the inside, and then it took another hour to do the edges on the other side, on the tailgate side. And it's not like I was deliberately going slow. Well, I was going slow because this, you know, I was literally just trying to get to the edges here and not anything else. And so I did have to go very slow, and it took forever. And so that was 2 hours on one day, and then I had to do 2 more coats. So it took 3 days of 2 hours each day. So that's 6 hours just doing the edges of this. And I also did do these trim pieces here. They were already pretty much smooth and everything, but they were not polyurethane. They were just very smooth wood. And so I went ahead and I polyurethaned the top and the sides, along with what I was doing up here. But you can see I had to wrap all the way around, go all the way around there. And then that board right here, that leading edge was unfinished. So I had to crawl up into this space and get my butt up in there and start it right there, and then work my way out and then around. And then when I did it the other way, I had to hop up onto the back there and reach all the way in here and start here and work my way out there. It was hilarious. And no, I did not video any of it in case you're wondering. But yeah, that was fun. So 3 coats did it, and it's really nice and smooth for the most part. But this wood, I'm not real happy with it. It's pretty much the nicest I could get at the price point that I paid, but it does sometimes, even when you sand it and sand it and sand it, it leaves a little bit of a rough texture, but I kind of like it. I mean, it doesn't even bother me that there, once in a while, you have a little bit of a rough, I don't know, makes it more like a cabin or something rather than something from IKEA, you know. This is definitely not not professional here. So let me take you out around back here. And this is the backside that I had to do. So I had to go all the way in there and come out, and then that way, and then all of that, all along there. And then this board as well, I had to do the same thing. None of these bins were in the way. I took all those bins, and on the inside I took all those out too, so I wasn't getting poly on any of it. I had to go all the way in there and come all the way out, just on this just this edge right here, because this was all already polyurethane. And then I had to do all that. That was tricky, doing that portion. It was tricky. And it was kind of hard doing this stuff too. But I couldn't get back behind here. I just did as much as I could. Like, that's about as far as I could go. And then I just went up and all the way back. And I even did the ends of those 1x2s. And this is where the drawer normally sits. And we took that out because these holes right here, we cut these with a hole saw, and it left pretty jagged edges, and there was not a lot of time at that point for me to go through and sand all that and stuff. So that was last year when we cut all this and did all the major construction. And so this year I'm just coming through and doing the finishing touches. And this bin is actually from on the inside, and they fit perfectly. My little spice box would sit right here. There'd be a little bit of a gap right there. I think I could put like baby wipes, a couple packs of baby wipes back in there, and then I don't know, but I'm gonna have to put more straps up here to hold these in. But this fits perfectly side to side, and I've still got that much room. It's not enough room for another one of these bins, but that's how much room I have to fill out. So I don't know. I still don't know what I'm going to do with the bins. These are not in stock anymore, so it's not like I can just go buy a couple more. I bought some different colored ones that I thought was going to work back here, but they're a little bit too small. And so I think what I've done is I took those that were too small and I replaced them. Let me show you real quick. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but I want to give you this update too. They're right here behind these two, because I wanted to keep it cohesive. I wanted it to look the same. And what I bought, there's my blower module that I still have to replace. What I got was these, and I got them in a different color because I thought, you know, this will be in my kitchen and I want a different color and everything. But you can see the difference in size, and they're 1 inch shorter this way as well. They're about the same height, but this is narrower. And so these don't really fit well back there. They're leaving too much of a gap. And so what I thought I would do is just put these cockamamie ones back here, and the other one is back there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, way back there. But then what I'm left with is this huge gap. This is like 3.5 inches. So I don't know what I could fit back there. I'm sure I could figure out something, but even using my big bins here, I do still already have a gap. So I guess it's not that big of a deal that I do have gaps. I'll just fill it in with books. I could probably put my atlases there and everything. But then if I do it this way, I'll still have that cohesive look of the gray bins, and those will be back there and they'll be hiding, and you won't even know that they're not the same color as those, not the same color or the same size. Sorry about my neighbor's air conditioner, it just kicked on. And so anyways, when we did this with the hole saw, it was pretty ragged, and so I took the Dremel here and put the sandpaper bit on here, and I spent not too long, it didn't take really very long, just whirling that out. I had to stop and vacuumed, because as I was sanding, it was just basically the sawdust was building up right there, and I couldn't really see if it was done or not. So I just did each one, and then I vacuumed it all out, swept it out, and then I analyzed it, and I ended up having to go over it a second time. So I just did all these holes. These are the vents for the refrigerator. And so I had to have him take the drawer out for me, because when it's open, when it's fully open, the back of it stops right here, and I could not get I can't even get the vacuum down there or anything, and that sawdust would have been coming down and dropping onto my slides, and that would have caused mayhem with these bearings. And so I had him take that drawer out for me. It's really hard to get out, so I had to have him help me, my ex help me. And I just took painter's tape. This is the foam that my Dokyo solar panel came wrapped in, and I cut it to size, and I laid it there, and I taped it to the wood, and I did that on both sides because I had this closed, and those are my other slides that the tray rides on, and I didn't want any dust to get down into there either, because that would have been horrible. And so I took another piece of that foam and just laid it down into there and taped both sides. And I didn't do that over here because it's just carpet and it's easily vacuumed. And I just came in here with my Dremel and just did each one, and it was pretty easy. It didn't take very long. I ran it on the Jackery. It only took, because I didn't have it on high speed, I had it like on medium speed, and so it was only pulling about 30 watts off of my little Jackery 500. And then I went through with just regular sandpaper, because I couldn't use the Dremel to do the very, very edges here, just the inside portion. And so it was leaving little burrs, and I didn't want to like go at it too hard, because that Dremel's very forceful and very strong. And so I just took sandpaper and wrapped it around my finger and was going like that with it. And then I swept it all out and everything. I still have to use my tap cloth here to make sure that there's no sawdust in there or anything. And then I'm going to try to take my little brush. It's going to be, again, very time consuming, and I'm not even sure how well I'll be able to get it. That shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I'll take the polyurethane, because I'm not wanting to leave any raw edges of wood if I can help it. So I've got to do all these holes. And then the other thing that was not done, so yeah, all this facing, this was done. This is my tray, my pull-out shelf, whatever you want to call it here, preparation area. So you can see back there, I've got the UHMW tape underneath to help keep the wood from sitting on top of the other wood, and so it just slides just like that. That's the UHMW that's on the bottom of my boxes that I custom built. And these are the boards that we kept. They're not sanded or anything. I'm not going to worry about sanding these, because this is right under the drawer and you can't see them, you can't touch them, so I'm not going to get a splinter on them on it or anything. And so I didn't even do the front facing of this, because when I was doing all of that, the drawer was still in place. So the drawer is out in the garage right now because I needed to have it out of the way. But yeah, I did all that all along there. And then when we were building this pull-out tray, this is where the refrigerator normally sits. The refrigerator's in the house right now. I had my son pick it up and take it in there for me. This piece of plywood, I had already polyurethane both sides and it was good to go. But then he used 1x2s for the sides. That's what we had to use for the sides. And they were really rough, like super rough. And again, we were in such a hurry that it was just boom, 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 and throw it in there. And that's what happened. And then fall and winter came, and so nothing got done. But now that it's warm enough, I can go ahead and do all these finishing touches. So I had to come through and sand all of these edges. All of these edges. And he made this routed edge, and so I was trying to maintain that routed edge. It's pretty rough. There's still some bumpy areas, but it looks and feels like 100 times better, because on the outside I can run my hand on it and it's not rough at all. There's a little bit of roughness right there, but it's actually more rough down here on the edge of that plywood. And I have sanded the dickens out of it, but just, I don't know, it keeps raising back up. And so I'm just gonna have to be satisfied with a little bit of roughness. It's just rustic. I'm just gonna go with rustic. That's trendy, right? You know? There's my slides for that. But yeah, I had to protect all of this because I did not want all that sawdust to go down in there. But everything's ready. Just got to polyurethane that. This wood here and the edges of these boards, I've already done 2 coats on, so I just have 1 more coat to do on this. And then I just started this, so I'm gonna have to go through and I'll do 3 coats on here. So it'll take 3 days because it takes, I usually let it dry a day in between. And so it'll take 3 days to get all those holes done, and I'll be able to put my drawer and the refrigerator back in. And the update with the dent on my hood, because of the dead tree here, which is still here, by the way. They still have not taken it down. I talked to the landlord. His son was actually here fixing that air conditioner because the air conditioner was dead and they were roasting in there because none of the windows open. Anyways, and so I talked to him and he told me to go ahead and submit it, and then he gave me their email address and he said to send the information to them, and then his renter's insurance would pay it off. Well, the property owner, or the property manager, said that my insurance was going to have to pay for it. And so I called my insurance agent and she said yes, ours does have to pay for it because of the property boundaries and everything. And I said, well, I told her it was neglect because he had known about it for 2 years. I said this was clearly neglect because this thing it's been dead for 2 years. Oh, and that's nice. Now there's bird poop on it. Yuck, I need to wash it. But she told me that I didn't have a deductible. So she went ahead and put a claim in for me, and they're gonna send me over to an auto body shop that they have on in their network or whatever. And so the auto body shop will just charge the insurance company directly, and I don't have a deductible, so we're just gonna get it taken care of. I was gonna go to junkyards and look for a replacement one and just swap out hoods, or I thought maybe we could try to pull that dent, but as it is, the insurance is going to take care of it, so I have to go Monday for the estimate. And thankfully I have rental car on my insurance, so it'll pay like $25 a day or something. But God only knows how much it costs for rental cars now, because everything has gone up in cost. So that is my little update. I may be without my rig for I don't know how long. It shouldn't take too long to pop out that dent. It doesn't even look that bad, but I don't know. I don't know, but I will keep you updated either way. I still have to get this wood taken care of. I have a piece in the house. It's a 2x4 sheet so that we can do this again and cut it out here, and then have enough left over to make strips for down the sides here, because I want to yank these off and replace them with 1/4 inch, because we have a 2x4 piece 1/4 inch in there, and that should be good. We're just going to lay that one on top of this one. I'm not going to yank this up. I'm just going to put this on top, and we're going to glue it down and just match that cut, and then I'll yank these off and put new facing boards on, because these are so flimsy and thin. I'm just I'm not impressed. I was able to glue that one back together that busted, but if that's gonna happen every time I try to budge the refrigerator out, that's not gonna work for me. So I'm gonna just replace those. All right, guys, hope you're having a good weekend, and I will talk to you again later. Bye.